Hello, how are you, everyone? Today's January 2nd, 2024. Welcome, Blake. Welcome, sir.
Yes, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Where are we?
We are in undisclosed location somewhere in the eastern half of the United States, perhaps, or not.
Perhaps. And specifically, we're here on the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media because the old American media has failed you. Yeah. You've known deep in your heart the media has been failing you this entire time. That's why you found us here today. So thank you so much. And make sure you follow Blake in all of the places. He's on X at TV's Blake Walley. That's BLAKE WALLEY. And he's at thenextlevelnews.com. So search our stuff. It's the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show on all the platforms, especially Spotify. Subscribe over there. And Rumble, the New American Media. YouTube.com/the New American Media. On X at American_media_. And go on Facebook. We have a page called the New American Media and a group called TNAMs, TNAM''S, the New American Media's, the Agree to Disagree show. So follow us in all of the. Blake, did you have a wonderful New Year?
Yeah, but it's good. I'm in my 40s now, so I don't party like I used to. No late nights in Vegas. No champagne toasts. Not too exciting, but watched football and had a good day. How about you, Brian? Did you do anything exciting?
It's kind of same as what you're saying. We're not in that mindset anymore. Huh? But that was a topic that came up. How much do you miss being young? How much do you miss those, your 20s and 30s in Vegas, in Los Angeles, partying and around all the crowds and the people and the pomp and circumstance and the chaos and the loud noises and lines and entry fees and cover charges and overpriced drinks and sketchy people doing sketchy things in sketchy places? Like, how much do you miss it? Because this was a topic a conversation I had.
There's pros and cons. I lived in Vegas for a long time. I worked on the Las Vegas Strip, so I was right there on Las Vegas Boulevard and Tropicana for 15 years of my life as a bartender. So I don't want to say I've seen and done it at all, but I certainly had a pretty good experience being right in there. So I had a pretty good, I partied a lot. I worked a lot of parties. Been there, done that. It was pretty great. But do I miss it? Not really. It'd be nice just, if I could somehow work like a part-time job and just go in there for the weekends, make the money and go. The problem is, I lived in Vegas for a long time. It's has its pros and cons. It's great, but I couldn't see myself living there, too long. I think, 5 years, it kind of gets old, maybe 10, 15, but just to live there day in, day out, all year round, it's kind of draining and it kind of gets weird. So it was time to move on. So no, I not really miss it that much anymore, but it was fun at the time.
And that's an interesting point that you make. Just mentioning that being a bartender, you've worked a lot of parties. And that's the thing. I've been a bartender as well, Brian the bartender. It's been what I've done. I enjoy people in small doses. They enjoy me in small doses. And I went to take a sip and I missed.
Well, Catman. All right. Sing something back. We are here. We are live. We are on D Live. All right.
Oh, can you say something back, please? What up, Catman? Catman, I just shared this awesome video. Where did I share it? Maybe Telegram in the Moon Saloon group. You wouldn't know that one. Maybe in TNAM chat. Follow us in Telegram, TNAM and TNAM chat. But yeah, it was a video about cats, about how their eyes have slits that go this way like reptiles. And it was explaining how, cats were worshipped in ancient Egypt. And, they're one of the few animals who have eyes that slit in like this, like reptiles, not like tigers, not like lions. And it was a whole thing. What up, Timothy Hanlon?
Yeah, they're predators. I've seen that. It's where they have vertical slits and they can kind of zone in on their prey with depth perception and all that. And they said, goats have exactly the opposite, goes horizontal, and they can practically see like almost 360 degrees around them. It was like 320 or 280, something like that. So, but with that added vision. So it's predators versus prey animals.
Good point. Good point. So howdy, cat man. Yeah, I've been having some cat chat in my life today as well. But yeah, you mentioned about working a lot of parties. For people like us, Blake, New Year's is just another day to work. I mean, maybe we hung out with friends, maybe we had buddies or roommates or significant others, and maybe they would be like, "Hey, let's do something on New Year's." I'm like, "Do something?" Like, I gotta work. I gotta be there. I don't know. The thing goes down and champagne toast and yay. I'm like, I don't know. It's just another day to work. Oh, it's the day before Thanksgiving. Let's all go out and get hammered. It's like, well, yeah, I'm working because that's the busiest bar day of the year. Oh, it's the day before Christmas. Everyone's back in town. Let's go out. Go out. I'm working. It's like the second busiest bar day of the year. So St. Patty's, let's go. Yeah, I'm working. So, a lot of those moments in time, those gathering days. Yeah, I don't know. It's I guess it's different when you grow up in the service industry. You don't traditionally think of these as party days and fun days. You just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm going to be working that day because that's just the way it is. But it's all about perception, everybody. Perception is reality. And yeah, I do kind of miss those younger days. I guess everybody does to a certain degree. But Blake, I mean, they really do say youth is wasted on the young. It's such a brilliant line. I mean, when you were in your 20s, you probably knew everything, right? I did.
Yeah, I certainly did think I knew everything, especially, coming down to Vegas from Minnesota. Yeah, I know everything. But now I realize yes. No, I was very wrong. Brought a lot of things. Very humbling, very interesting experience, though.
Absolutely. All right. Well, speaking of humbling, I mean, it's been humbling trying to be involved in the media landscape, hence the New American Media. We started because we were sick of being lied to. It became painfully obvious that almost everybody in the left-wing, deep state, legacy media was lying. They just hated anything conservative or anything libertarian or anything common sense. And it's like, oh, well, okay, well, geez, there's this new channel. There's this Fox News. Oh, well, at least we get the truth coming out of this side. And they're like, well, no, some of it. And then like Blake couldn't stand it during the Bush years. But even Fox News now, as many of you have realized, when Chris Wallace repeated the fine people hoax in the 2020 election to try to slur and slander President Trump. And as he tried to push the 51 intelligence officials lying to us about Hunter's laptop not being legitimate. They called it Russian disinformation. I mean, it's never been more clear than ever that Fox News, CNN, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, go down the list. It's all trash. It's all propaganda. And, here at the New American Media, we just try to find out what's actually going on. Nobody's writing us checks and telling us in an earpiece what we must say, putting it on a board for us to read on a teleprompter. We dig in and we try to peel back the layers of the onion to let you know what's going on. So that's why we're here, and we appreciate you joining us today. What's Timothy saying? Find the miraculous in the mundane, in the insane ignorance of the masses. Man, that's like a tongue twist. It's like an Eminem lyric. Oh, I saw something interesting, Blake. I heard, and this could be AI, but I don't think it was. It was like an early version of Lose Yourself, and there was a whole different intro. And it had Eminem talking. He's like, I don't remember recording this. I don't remember where I was. I don't know when this happened, but like it was a whole new intro, and it was kind of cool. But yeah, you're find the miraculous in the mundane and the insane ignorance of the masses. That's very Eminem kind of slant rhyme, circling back stuff, slant rhyme stuff. So okay, let's jump into some of the stories here, Blake. Maybe not the most newsworthy of the stories, but it's the perfect segue into what we were talking about in the intro. And here on January 2nd, by the way, rest in peace to my brother Chris, who passed away 2 years ago today. We miss you immensely. But yes, New Year's Eve, Blake, agree or disagree that Nashville, not New York City, is the new king of New Year's Eve. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I definitely know New York is terrible. They used to be like the go-to. That was like the only thing. But I mean, at least they did a good production. Now it's just a bunch of like just woke garbage. It's embarrassing. It's gone considerably downhill. Yeah, it was interesting with Dick Clark, and now it's just it's turned into a mess. And there were some weird things going on with that. I guess they dropped the ball. One of the stories in here was they dropped the ball on New York, and then it was like two gay dudes kissing, which is fine, good for them. But I mean, it's just always like showing weird stuff or having, Joe Biden got interviewed. He looked horrible. We'll play that clip. And then we had, Green Day, changing lyrics to look cool on New Year's Eve by getting rid of their redneck line and replacing it with, the MAGA agenda. So it's turned into programming, lame propaganda, lame music. The atmosphere is just nowhere like it used to be. And I actually watched a little bit of the Nashville. I didn't go out of my way, but it was on the TV, and they actually had Leonard Skinner there, and it was awesome. Like I was watching, New York and Nashville, bits and pieces the last few years. It couldn't be more obvious that Nashville is now the go-to, and to have that huge rendition of Freebird at the end, and they just knocked it out of the park. People should go check that out. It was pretty epic and spectacular. So Nashville is the new king of New Year's Eve celebration programming. New York is just gone. It is a shell of itself. It's embarrassing. So
a little bit ago with somebody who's Skinner cover band, a guy named Jeff. But yeah, I was trying to look up how many of the surviving members from Leonard Skinner. I'm like, Leonard Skinner, how many of them are even with us from back in the day? Looks like all the people are from 87 or up. Ricky Medlock from 1971.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't know if it was that either. I figured it was a cover band or something, and I went outside. I went to look at it because it was like the music was coming in, and it was just spectacular. It was just spot on. And I came out, I was like, no, that's actually Leonard Skinner. I was like, damn, and it's so good. And just to watch like that epic, it's like, I think it's like 19 little mini guitar solos within the giant guitar solo that is Freebird, and it was so good.
This post here is saying that Leonard Skinner is in the rare position being a band with no surviving founding members.
I wasn't aware.
Interesting.
It was a bunch of old, they were older gentlemen, but I mean, they played it so well. I wouldn't have had, I didn't know, I didn't go that much research, but it was apparently Leonard Skinner or whoever is left from the band. I don't know. I'm not a historian on there, but I've always liked some of their music. And it's a sad...
What do they call Grateful Dead? They call them Deadheads.
Yeah.
So would they call Leonard Skinner skinheads? That might be a bad thing.
No, is that the Dropkick Murphys that have the skinheads? That's what they're.
I don't know, maybe,
but not like actual Nazis or anything. Not
like
that kind of skinheads.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was 16. I shaved my head. I was 15, and I dyed it red, and it went purple. Then at 17, I grew it down past my shoulders. So it's like, I don't know. It's just hair. It's just an accessory. Have fun with it. I braided it on my 21st birthday. I had them all like in dreadlocks. That was fun. Anyway, I digress. Okay.
Went through some weird phases. All right. Well,
speaking of weird phases, let's talk about New York City.
New Year's Eve ball drops, cuts to two men kissing, because why not? Simulcast on tons of stations, featured Paul Anka singing Imagine There's No Heaven, then immediately cut to two dudes making out. That's so lame. This is like 1980s.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thanks, America. Let's watch two gay guys kissing for the ball drop. Could have done without seeing that.
But... There are several jokes in there about the ball drop. But let's not go ahead and make any ball dropping jokes.
Oh God! Actually, Speaking of which, if I can find it with all
Excuse me, I'm just gonna make some tea over here. I'm gonna make some tea. Drop this tea bag in.
Oh, I thought I had another one with. I did. I got rid of it. It was with Anderson Cooper getting drunk. So speaking of gay gentlemen, yes.
Oh, he's knocking back the shots of that Andy Cohen guy.
Yeah. So it's just.
I served Anderson Cooper alcohol. Fun fact.
I know. Yeah, you told me about that in L.A. About working one of these Hollywood parties. That was one of the perks.
It was maybe around the time that True Blood was on, if my memory serves me right. But I felt like I was serving like one of those sexy vampires. Anderson Cooper looks like one of those, no blood in his face, like albino vampires from True Blood or something. That's what it reminded me of. Although he's a total it's CIA, right? He's a CIA.
Yeah, I think he's like part of the Vanderbilt family. Like there's some really weird stuff if you dig into Anderson Cooper.
Oh yeah. But the good thing is it's obvious to anyone who's paying attention. It's not like it's any big secret anymore, which is nice. It's just take off your Scooby-Doo masks. Let's see who the hell you are.
Right. And we should also see what Joe Biden is. He is barely functioning. Here's a tweet from one of our friends here, Brian McWilliams. Why is the sundowning president even taking part in the New Year's Eve nonsense? He's floundering in
sundowning.
What's that?
Sundowning.
Yeah.
That's a nice word choice.
Right. So Biden is floundering in polls, and his PR people think putting him on TV late night when he's clearly not at his best for a national audience of mocking drunks is smart. So there's a quote tweet from Biden, from Heidi, saying Biden is everyone's senile grandpa, except he's in charge of nukes, allegedly.
By the way, for perspective, the term sundowning refers to a state of confusion occurring in the late afternoon and lasting into the night. Sundowning can cause different behaviors such as confusion, anxiety, aggression, or ignoring directions. That's awesome.
Nice
choice of phrase, Mr. McWilliams.
Well done. Well played. All right, let's take a look at this clip.
As you look back and reflect on 2023.
From Ryan Seacrest on the lame New Year's Eve, Rockin' Eve in New York.
What sort of memories, highlights stand out for you?
Well, one of the big highlights stands out for me is my dad used to have an expression. He'd say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than the paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. So many people through the Midwest and the center of the country, their factories are shipped overseas the last couple of times out, and they were losing hope and faith. So we brought a lot of jobs back.
Poor Jill's got to sit there and act like everything is all good as everything goes off the rails. Like he has no idea where he is, and he's not even answering.
Back to the United States. People are in a position to be able to make a living now, and they've created a lot of jobs, over 14 million. And I guess I just feel good that the American people got up. They've been through a rough time with pandemic, but now we're coming back.
And here's another one. Biden has to be reminded by Jill that ice cream is his favorite food during a rare interview. Am I going to be able to play this, or are I going to run an ad? How about this one?
I'm curious, what sort of holiday foods have you been enjoying over the last few days?
What a great question, Ryan.
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've eaten pasta. Eating a lot of chicken Parmesan. I've been eating all Italian foods, basically.
And ice cream.
Chocolate chip ice cream.
Thanks, Jill. All right. It's such an embarrassment that he's, allegedly in charge. That we're all pretending that we're all in on this big joke that Joe Biden is a functional president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. Yeah, so
it is painful. I put something out yesterday. Oh yeah, by the way, while we're covering the news of the day in the college football playoff. That team up north defeated Alabama to advance, and the University of
aren't you still happy that the Big Ten is in? Because usually they're the laughing stock.
No, I don't like anything about that school, that man, that program, that state. No, I'm good. And then Washington beat Texas. to advance. So we're going to have Washington Huskies versus that team up north.
It's the new preview
And I
of
put
the
a
Big
tweet out.
Ten, right? Because it's going to be, isn't Washington going to be in the Big Ten West?
Oh,
so they could
yeah,
actually rematch for the Big Ten championship next year, right? So if Michigan beats Ohio State again, and then they represent the East, because it's been kind of mocked, like the West has been weak, right? It's either Iowa or Wisconsin, maybe Minnesota, Nebraska someday, but they keep getting run over by the East. But now if you're bringing in Washington and Oregon, along with UCLA and USC, I think it's bizarre. I don't like it, but
I don't like any of this. I don't like, I think college football is dying a quick death. You saw something from The Rock. He now merged the XFL with the USFL, so it's now the United Football League. That's going to become a strong secondary option for kids to go in, as opposed to messing around in college. Like was it Cardale Jones? No, Dwayne Haskins said, "I didn't come to college to play no school. I came to play football." So like these people maybe right out of high school are going to start jumping to a pro league. Although the NIL is going to get people their name, image, and likeness money, so you can license that and you can do commercials and you can make your millions.
You make millions as an orthopedic surgeon.
What?
All the new injuries from this violent game, which I love, but there is, I'm horrified by the injuries. And I can't imagine, having another football league where these guys are going to get, limbs broken and twisted and having
Collisions,
snapped,
man.
and all kinds of grisly stuff. It's kind of hurting me.
It's an amazing game. It's a great sport. I love it so much. The worst part is the injuries. But what I was getting at was that I made a post last night. I said, the same country that has failed to impeach Joe Biden for treason is the same one that's allowing that team up north to compete for a national title. If you're not aware, that team up north is in the middle of a massive cheating scandal some people are saying the NCAA is going to give them a massive ban. They're going to lose scholarships. They're going to have to forfeit wins. And it's just like Timothy here, Hanlon, in the comments saying Babylon has fallen. It's just kind of like America has no leadership. It has no rudder, no common sense, no justice. Just the fact that cheating Jim Harbaugh, that booger-eating weirdo up there, and his cheating program hasn't been just eradicated and banned from postseason play. It's just such a shame. And
Brian is very biased, obviously. But, right.
Biased? I'm honest. Biased.
Brian's afraid Ohio State can't win on its own terms, so they have to handicap Michigan by taking away scholarships and damaging them. Then maybe you'll have a chance next year, right, Brian? In the big game.
It's called the
game.
Ohio State University.
Right?
The Ohio State University.
Right.
Which
lost to the Michigan Wolverines, right?
That team up north, we don't say their name.
I know you don't, but I'm going to say it.
We don't say their name.
Well, maybe not everybody
knows.
Yeah, I mean, all right, they do now.
But yeah, I mean, Babylon has fallen. It's a weird country. It's a weird time. You have both Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and God forbid, seemingly the GOP in on this attempt to jail Trump for over 700 years for nothing, just to keep him out of office because he has FU money. And they don't like that. They like compromised, blackmailed puppets like Romney or McCain or Bush, part of the New World Order globalist regime. That's who they want. They want their, what do you say, Blake? Lackeys, hacks,
flax, lackeys.
What? Who?
Hacks, flax, and lackeys.
No,
it's a term that I've coined up.
All right. We need that on some merch. Tweet that out once a day.
I can't believe no. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, it is a weird time. It's a strange time to be alive, Blake. It just seems like there is no justice in anything, from college football to the Oval Office, allegedly, with this Biden clown. And I just had this moment. I'm just even yesterday as I was typing that, I'm just going, where is the obvious treason charge for Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, and for Joe Biden? Where are the obvious treason charges for what they're doing at the border? And it's like everybody's asleep at the switch. Everybody's just in on it. Nobody cares. How can that team up north be allowed to compete in the playoffs? They should be eradicated from the postseason contention. Lose all of their scholarship players. Bowl ban for 20 years. Jim Harbaugh should be banned from the NCAA forever. Yes.
Oh my God. I don't know.
They've earned it.
That's so lame, Brian. So that's what you could feel good about Ohio State winning because there's no going to take out their biggest competition. I mean, why don't you just put them in jail? Like, they're political enemies. You can't even say their name. You're so scared of them. You're terrified of the Wolverines.
Hang on, who's your team?
What? We're going to win next year, but we're just going to get rid of our biggest rival, which I won't even mention.
They're not rivals
if
they're cheaters.
Huh?
They're not rivals if they're cheaters. They're just cheating the system like the Democrats.
Well, we'll see what happens.
You're just going to allow them to keep cheating?
No.
No.
They get punished. Yeah, remember USC got punished and they were ineligible for bowl games for, I don't know, a couple of years. I don't remember exactly the details, but yeah.
So that's what we're hoping for. Anyway, but yeah. I don't know.
All right. Well, what do you think about Cliff High? Speaking of weird and woo, I mean, Cliff High is certainly putting some of that crazy information out there. He's a crazy individual, but he's brilliant. I don't know what to make of it. He's a paranoid schizophrenic, but he's also very well informed. He's a software genius. And he has some interesting predictions. I don't know how much of it has come true, but it's certainly intriguing. And he thinks the Elohim are coming back. So next year we could be seeing, bracing ourselves for the alien invasion, or perhaps the henchmen, which he would probably say are the Jews, which are, yes, if you go back way into ancient Judaism and you go back into the Talmud and the Torah and whatever, or even with the Bible and you go back farther into the ancient manuscripts, there is no singular God. It's the Elohim, but Elohim is actually plurals. They're saying our ancient descendants are space aliens, which is totally plausible. And I don't know what to make of that. So our rulers are coming back to rule over their creation. So who knows? But yeah, he's an interesting person to keep an eye on. So I'll say that. Take it with a grain of salt, but he might be onto something. So yeah, go follow Cliff High.
Sounds like slave masters, doesn't it? Aren't we against slavery?
I don't know. Maybe we're their creation. So who knows? They took whatever, primitive man and mixed it with our DNA, or mixed their DNA with ours, and created their own little servant class. So if they created us, Brian, then wouldn't they get to rule over us? But they also might be, completely crazy, because I guess they live a very long time, hundreds of thousands of years, perhaps, with their technology. But it makes them, pretty paranoid and wacky. So, but very technologically advanced and dangerous, potentially. I don't know. But I'm open to all possibilities. I have no idea, Brian, what's going to happen. But it's going to be a spectacular year. But maybe not spectacular like years past. In a different way. It's like, holy shit, it's going to be a crazy year. And it might be a civil war. It might be an alien invasion. I don't know if it's going to be like a big happy ending, a big, a great awakening, spiritual enlightenment, because that might be the only way we get off this planet anyway, Brian. And I don't know if that's going to happen, or a different way to advance, or if we're going to get pulled into some, crazy solar flare and, polar shift. It could end up so many different ways. But will it be the new age of enlightenment, Aquarius, bunch of hippies holding hands? I don't know. But I'm here for it. We're going to cover it regardless, however it ends.
We will. As long as we have the internet, we will cover it. Yeah. Well, talking about hippies holding hands, let's talk about this group out here from the Bay Area. Oh, they're stunning and brave, Blake. Do you agree or disagree that Green Day is stunning and brave for raging for their machine?
No, I think they're lame. I've always thought they were lame. I've liked a couple of their songs. I've never really been a Green Day fan, but I can appreciate a little bit of their stuff. But yeah, for them to make a little spectacle on New Year's Eve, they're gonna change one of the lines in their song, one of their famous songs about the redneck agenda, because they were against like the Bush administration, if I remember right, or that's what the reference in their music, which, I was on the same page with that. It's usually good to see the rockers and they're rebelling against the system. But now it seems like it's, they're pulling for the system. And, Rage Against the Machine is now raging for the machine as well. So it's weird. The rock bands these days it's weird how they're cozying up with the establishment instead of like, speaking out against it, which always made them like interesting rock stars and, part of the counterculture.
We'll talk about New Year's Eve. Isn't Carson Daly still a part of that somehow? Doesn't he? I don't know if he was doing it last night or 2 nights ago, whatever, but I saw this clip where Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine was showing people on Total Request Live with Carson Daly in the late 90s. Remember that? Back when music television was music television?
Mostly at that point, it was still turning into the, Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy, Real World, a lot of TV shows transitioning. I don't even know what it is now, but yes, that was kind of the last blast there. It was, Kurt Loder, and they had some good shows. Oh, Kennedy was even a part of that. I've forgotten.
That's
But
right,
yeah,
Kennedy.
Carson Daly, I think I was kind of out of that at that point. But
well, he was on with Carson Daly, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, showing how he makes a lot of his sound effects. Sounds like a DJ scratching records and stuff. He's like, here's how I do this live, and here's how I do this. And you looked at his guitar cab, and it's got this big picture of Che Guevara all over it. It's like these guys have always been commie sympathizers, complete fascists. They just want to anything conservative, anything libertarian, anything capitalist, anything free market. They hate it. They hate it because they can't control it, because they are the friggin' fascists, and they always have been. Now, and as far as Green Day goes, I was at a concert this past year, Louder Than Life. It was a 4-day festival. It was awesome. It was 4 days of incredible bands, incredible music, and Green Day were one of the headliners. And they were phenomenal, Blake. They were excellent.
Yeah.
No matter how many songs you think you know by them, you probably know 3 times as many songs. And they just keep going, and they're songs that you recognize, and they're tight. Their bass player, Mike Dirnt, with his backing vocals, does such a good job holding that band together. A lot of sound for a 3-piece. Very few bands from the mid 90s have stayed around this long, let alone, still being able to crush it on stage. But I was really impressed with their performance. But yeah, their music, they're very talented musicians, and they're mental midgets when it comes to politics. These people are as backward can get. Speaking of music, they're like crisscross, wearing their pants and their shirts backwards. That's what they are. Green Day is like the crisscross of politics. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I guess in a way, I'm disappointed with the today's rock musicians. So nobody has any balls to speak out against it. It's all like they're thinking they're, cozying up to Biden and the World Economic Forum against MAGA and Trump. And so you did have some of that, and it was on New Year's with Green Day. So let's dig in here. So, and even ex-owner Elon Musk chimed in on the aging punk band Green Day's attempt to stay relevant, accusing the group for raging for the machine by changing the lyrics to one of their songs. The band, with eyeliner-wearing frontman Billy Joe Armstrong, altered their words to the American Idiot during the Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve show. They should really take his name out there. They are tarnishing his legacy these days, because the New York Festival is so lame and so woke. We just saw Biden. We're seeing Green Day, and we saw the two gay dudes kissing. I apologize for that. That was a little much, but here we go. Or you could have watched Freebird in Nashville. Anyway, Armstrong now 51. He's got rid of the part. I'm not part of the redneck agenda. With I'm not part of the MAGA agenda. Can we run this without getting a copyright? I don't know. Oh, wow. Is it stunning and brave? Perhaps. So Musk shared a report on the incident, noting Green Day goes from raging against the machine to milk-toastedly raging for it. So they're still trying to be cool. Whatever. It's a minor thing, but it is strange that we have such a backlash of all of these rockers against MAGA agenda. Like that's the worst thing to happen to America. Now, it's like they're confusing everything with the Bush-Cheney Rumsfeld. I just don't they're actually warming up to those. Billy Joe would probably warm up to George W. Bush and Dick Cheney before Donald Trump. It's bizarre. We're in bizarro world. Timothy Hanlon says they pee sitting down. That's another little known fact. I don't know.
I did find this one. Let me see if I can play this. This is the same topic you were mentioning. How do I pause it? Okay. So here's another take on this. Let me pull this up here. Our buddy AJ had something to say about it. Let's double click this.
Okay.
Oh, the double clicking. There we go.
All right.
All right. So he had a take on Green Day. Let's see what you think here. Unmute.
And changed their lyrics from redneck agenda to MAGA agenda and really ticked off conservatives. It led to this meme showing sucking the boot of big government, Pfizer, Raytheon, and BlackRock. And while that's fine and I don't care, the weird part is MAGA doesn't seem to realize that all of those things apply to them and their leader, but the influencers that they follow and trust are either too stupid to realize it or too fake to tell you. Let's go through all of them. Pfizer. Trump $1 million donation from Pfizer after saying he wouldn't take any corporate or donor money. Hired a pharmaceutical executive, Alex Azar, to lead HHS. And a Pfizer board member, Scott Gottlieb, to run FDA. So keep sucking that boot, MAGA. Let's go. Raytheon. Oh, what do you know? Trump, former Raytheon lobbyist, to lead the Pentagon. Of course he did. His entire cabinet was the swamp. How about BlackRock? They hit a record $6 trillion in assets held by Trump's tax law. Trump put Larry Fink, the CEO, on an advisory committee and sought advice from him during the pandemic. And when it comes to big government, the thing that Turning Point USA pretends to care about, Trump printed more money than Barack Obama, created new government agencies, ran up the deficit, bragged about it, and even during the pandemic said that the fake news was lying, that the governors made the decision to close their states, and he took credit for it. And oh, by the way, that new FBI building that Trump wants to build, I bet you didn't know it was reported that business partners of him that own buildings with him and Kushner were in the running for that contract, so maybe that explains that. Anyway, enjoy all those fake Republican influencers that have created a business model of false paradigm-controlled oppositions to keep you in the dark, you in circles like a hamster, and then profit off your outrage.
There you go, Blake. Thoughts on Anomaly?
Very interesting. Yep, gloves off in 2024, man. There are no ally. Everybody's going to be held to account. And as much as I like Trump, yes, he's surrounded himself with awful swamp creatures, had no allies, and made a lot of mistakes, took no accountability. And there are a lot of influencers that are just, it can be a cult as well, to be fair. So we're going to try to, cover it all independently. I'm not a paid shill for Trump, even though I'd like to believe he's our only hope, and he may be. I do like Vivek. I do like RFK Jr. His stock is down, but I'd still go for him. But if Trump gets back in, he needs to have his feet held to the fire like anybody else. We can't just give him a pass. So that's some very good research there by Anomaly, who's not afraid to speak out against both sides. So is Trump part of the establishment? Is he also part of the swamp? I don't know. But he did make a lot of mistakes in that first term, whether he wants to own up to it or not, or he's trying to play nice with these people and expect something was going to happen. No, if he gets back into office, he needs to get the right people there. It's time to go scorched earth in D.C.
That's the exact same phrase I had on my mind. Retribution, scorched earth. Yeah, I had somebody send me something yesterday. I think Blake, you remember me talking with you, and I sat down with AJ. We had a long chat.
Yeah, 4 hours is not a chat, Brian. That is, I don't know what you call that.
It's a chat. What up, Big Dave's Peanut 9? Happy New Year to you. Yeah, and you know, a lot of those were similar points the Anomaly brought up during our conversation at the NAM convention. But my buddy, I think I referenced with you my libertarian friend who he's insistent on throwing his vote away. It's just, I'm just going to sit here and bash Trump, and I'm going to bash Trump again, and I'm going to bash Trump again. I'm like, well, what do you got? What are you proposing? So for all the things Trump got wrong, and there's a laundry list, because I feel like every president that we've ever seen has a laundry list of things they got wrong. Blake, is there a president you've seen in your lifetime get as many things right as President Trump? Because I feel like the Trump haters are finding several points that they can't stand, which is fine. But what is the option here? We're talking Joe Biden. We're talking what? I don't really understand. Am I wrong to kind of do the math on this and say I've never seen a president get so many important things right as President Trump? Because some people, ideological, not optimists, perfectionists, you know, fixating on the stuff that Trump got wrong. It's like, yeah, he also led the league in touchdown passes. He set a new record in touchdown passes. Like, no quarterback has ever thrown this many touchdowns and had this many wins under their belt. Well, yeah, remember he fumbled that time, and he threw that interception that one time, and oh my gosh, he lost the game. Yeah, but he won the Super Bowl. Yeah, but he was playing the Titans and he had a 2 turnover game. You're like, yeah, it's right. You win 10, you lose 3. I mean, am I off in that math? Have you seen any president get as much of the important stuff right as Trump? Or am I just?
Yeah, I think he's great. I think there's a reason why the swamp is going after him in as many ways as they can. Otherwise, they would just let him get reelected, or they wouldn't be trying so hard to get him removed off the ballot or try to have him thrown in jail if they weren't concerned about him. And so that automatically, by default, to me, makes him a good guy. And I know what you're saying. Even in 2016, it's a little fun fact. I actually lived off grid for most of the year in 2016, living with a bunch of off the grid with libertarian hippies. And yeah, none of them liked Trump either. So, but then what did they vote for? Bill Weld? I mean, it was ridiculous. They want to sit and lecture us about purity and all of that stuff. And then they had some interesting candidates themselves, but then they put up Bill Weld, who was just a soft liberal. It was so embarrassing.
So that you really? Say it like yeah, Bill Weld. It's like maybe on Shark Tank or something, and they're like, I have this $10 billion idea, and then someone's like, all right, well, I'd like to fund $100 million to get this off the ground. In exchange, I want 30%. Like 30%? No, I want to keep 100% of zero. Okay, thanks for coming in. Keep 100% of nothing. I will never 30%. Oh my gosh, look at all these screw ups. You mean appointed to large positions? You have the people who are the experts, air quote, experts in these fields, the people uniquely qualified. Yes, they're in the swamp, but that's where you get the people with the connection. Like, oh my gosh, you got a lawyer who has connections to an Ivy League school. It's like, well, yeah, that's where the good lawyers come from. Yeah, but it's an Ivy League school. They're dirty. It's like, well, yeah. So I don't know. Some of these, there's a time. I just feel like, Blake, there's a time and a place to do the Trump bashing. And I just feel like when the deep state is hanging 700 plus years, plus a potential death sentence against a guy, I feel like this might not be the right time to be hyper fixating and drilling down on the shortcomings and failures. I feel like it's kind of time to circle the wagons. And that's what I told Anomaly when I talked with him in person. That's kind of how I feel now. Like when my buddy, who I won't name, another person who I like and respect, these are smart people. These are, by all accounts, I'm friendly with Anomaly. I like Anomaly. We've hung out multiple times, multiple occasions, multiple events. I think he's smart and sharp. I respect the dude. And my other dude, I've known him my whole, most of my adult life, and in my kid life, most of my life. I like these guys, but there's some, like, help me understand, like, what is with the fixation on just? He sent me a meme about Trump making money off of the FBI building while a J6er is in prison, and I'm like,
no one's going to be 100%. I mean, it never was. It's never been like that in this country. We've always been, we had to try to get together and get the right mindset and try to do the right thing. Even when our forefathers sat together trying to formulate this country, and they had to get all the different colonies on the same page. Some people they had to make concessions. You can't get everybody in 100% agreement, but at some point you have to, or we're just going to get absorbed again by the British Empire, because you got 13 colonies trying to do all their own thing and nobody can stand it. We have to unite together, or we're going to crumble the republic away. So at some point, we have to get behind, a good candidate. We can't do these, voting for principles. I've done those throwaway votes, which was fine because I don't think it made a difference anyway, whether it was, Cynthia McKinney in 2008 or Gary Johnson even in 2012. I mean, you took away Ron Paul, you cheated him at the convention, and then you want me to vote for either Obama or Mitt Romney? No, I'm not going to vote for that. But yes, with somebody who's a game changer and somebody powerful enough and freaks out the establishment, a populist like Trump, I think you have to align for him, and you have to have that faith, and you have to have, hold them accountable. Otherwise, we have no chance. You can't just, abstain away and let one of the establishment candidates win, because we all lose. So I don't know. I put up 3 candidates. I'll even vote for DeSantis if that had to happen. I mean, I have to give somebody. I can't vote for a Biden or a Nikki Haley. I know, Brian. I know you hate him. Blah 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 blah. But he's done some good stuff. So I mean, I don't want to see that. I want to see Trump, Vivek, maybe RFK Jr. But if I had to absolutely settle on a DeSantis, I would take him and try to have that faith. But I'm not taking Nikki Haley, Chris Christie, Joe Biden, or anybody else that the Democrats put up there. I'll vote for, or what's that? Cornelius West? Was it Cornelius West? I mean, I don't even know. Some
Cornel West.
Cornel West. Yeah. So I don't know.
I think if it got to that point, I would pick the wrench. You've seen that scene from Good Will Hunting, where Matt Damon's talking with Robin Williams about how his dad was an alcoholic, and he'd come home and he'd give him an option. He'd give him a choice to get a branch off a tree. They call it a switch.
Yeah, I remember that.
So go get a switch off the tree, or you could get beat by his belt, or you could pick the wrench. He said, and I picked the wrench. And Robin Williams, he's like, I'm sorry, what? Why would you pick the wrench? He goes, because fuck him. I would pick the wrench before I'd pick DeSantis. Just anybody who will not circle the wagons and defend the guy who's getting lambasted right now, who's getting unfairly persecuted, who was robbed from the last election. By the way, go to CISA.gov/rumor control, because they want your countervailing views to be that was the only election where no cheating has ever happened. Coincidentally, they threw out the most popular president in modern history. Wow, shocking.
So Brian, if it was Biden versus DeSantis, so you'd basically be joining with your libertarian friend. You would actually abstain out of it. You would not vote for DeSantis just because he didn't stand up for Trump or do some of the things that you wanted him to do. So you would have such.
I guess maybe spite. I talked myself.
Such spite, right?
I guess maybe I talked myself into a circle there, painted myself into a corner, didn't I?
Okay.
But I see him as an equal traitor as Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama.
What? Okay, I don't know about that.
100%.
Oh, you're a
Anybody
vindictive
that's
man,
going to be
Brian.
willing. No, anybody that's going to be willing to throw Trump to the wolves like this is nobody I can trust. It's just I could never trust somebody that would allow Trump to get thrown to the wolves like this. I get that there's political aspirations. I get that there's career arcs. I get that they have every deep state globalist in their ear whispering them sweet nothings, patting their wallet, patting little Ronnie D's shoe toppers. So with every million they funnel into his campaign, he gets a little taller. And his heart grew 3 times that day. And his loafers grew 3 sizes that day.
Hey.
He grew 3 inches that day. Little Ronnie D. I think I have them in the same camp. I don't trust them at all. Vivek is the only person that I would almost trust.
Well, at least you have to take a chance. You don't have to trust him, but you have to take a chance on him.
If it came down to if it came down somehow, and you had Maine. This is a story over the weekend that we didn't cover, but this lady in Maine tried to take Trump off the ticket, and I guess then she even walked it back, saying that she's holding on until there's a Supreme Court ruling. Like, all this stuff is political theater, but if for some reason Trump was not able to be the candidate, I would probably take a chance on Vivek. He's the only one that I would take a chance on. I know. Little Ronnie D is just like Nikki Haley, a snake in the grass, and a sold-out opportunist, a soulless punk. Wow. Ronnie D was my heir apparent. In 2028, he was going to be the obvious guy. Yep. He did a lot of great things in Florida. Like, I would have, he's like, oh, great. Well, now there's somebody young. We'll have 2 terms of this guy coming up. He burned every one of those bridges. I don't know who the hell could have possibly been advising him to do what he's done and say what he said to throw Trump under the bus like that. But there's no coming back from that.
Pockets. Yeah.
Huh?
Bunch of rich neocons with deep pockets. Yes.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Timothy Hanlon says smash that like button and make sure you're following Blake Walley on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley and The Next Level News. Make sure you subscribe to the Agree to Disagree show. It's the podcast on Spotify. Find us on Rumble, The New American Media, on X at at American_media_, and YouTube.com/The New American Media, Instagram, The New American Media as well. But yeah, Blake, I guess what? My libertarian buddy and maybe anomaly, maybe Trump has committed some evil, unforgivable act, and they just will never give him a chance. It's the soy boy youth of the country that are voting against Trump, and it's the middle-aged white women that are voting against Trump. They've bought into this. Oh, he has such a crude mouth. Oh my gosh, he said, grab what? Oh my, I've never had locker room talk with people before. I've never listened to someone brag about their sexual exploits. Oh my, I'm going to clutch my pearls. Okay. And like they're out. They're out on Trump. They will never give him a chance. Yeah, Big Dave's Peanut says, I don't trust any of them except Trump. No, I don't trust Vivek. I like that Vivek has pretty much been the only person that says the right things in any of these debates. He's calling out a lot of the correct corruption. Is he a plant? All right, maybe. I mean, that's why I would like to stay with Trump. We know what we're getting. He's essentially a moderate. He's a New York Democrat who's running as a Republican. He's appointing decent Supreme Court justices. He's getting a lot of the big issues right on energy, on removing restrictions, and making this country a place where industry is supposed to thrive. The rest of them are just globalists. They don't give a shit. They don't care. I would prefer going with something I trust. And he's not a perfect man, but I don't know. I just don't understand fixating on the missteps, the flaws, and the problems with Trump. At this stage, where you got 51 intelligence officials running a coup to overthrow the United States of America, to install the deep state, Barack Hussein Obama's 3rd term, with his puppet Joe Biden. Fox News in on it. Haley and little Ronnie D jumping in and licking the boots of the globalist deep state. Run and cover. Just hoping, when they get Trump, we'll be next. Let's just keep running, and they're gonna get him. You damn traitors. Just a bunch of traitors. So I don't see it. Dreamer also says libertarians better wake up. Why don't you put on a little makeup and discuss a better way to shake up? Why'd you leave a kid on the table?
I argue with a lot of libertarians over the years, kind of loosely affiliated with them. And a lot of them are actually more like anarchists than I would see as a classic libertarian. And yes, they're so principled. They won't vote for certain people. And they always thought Trump was just part of the establishment. I was like, how do you, I don't know. I have many conversations. It didn't go anywhere. It was just kind of, okay, let go. Hey, vote for Bill Weld. There you go. Okay. But anyway, whatever. It might be a lost cause. I don't know, Brian. Hopefully people will wake up. I don't know. But we should hit another topic we got a few of those, whether it's on the election and Joe Biden or whether it's about waking up. We got a few different directions we should go in here, Brian.
Okay, I will pick one.
Okay.
And that is the new American Media's bumper. What do we call it? Not a bumper. You call it a
stinger. But that's not really a stinger. It's all good.
Oh, I mean, sort of. I don't know. A little intro, because I really do believe America's in peril, in grave danger of losing all sorts of sanity. Hence why we redesigned the logo to be the American flag upside down. That is a symbol of distress. Let's stay on this one. I mean, theoretically, I keep pushing down the. Actually, where did that story go? Epstein, but we'll wait on Epstein until the report actually drops, because that'll probably be the headline story on Thursday, if the case comes out. But let's talk about this one. Yeah, we're talking about Trump. I don't know. I really did kind of paint myself into a corner there, because I'm so principled that I would never vote for another Republican. But I don't like the Republicans. The only thing worse than a Republican's a Democrat. I hate them both. I really don't care for any of them. I hope this particular soundbite isn't used against me, so that we're kept out of the GOP convention in a couple of months here. I do look forward to attending that. But I mean, the lesser of two evils. I mean, whatever the Democrats are putting up with their globalist regime, it's nightmare fuel, Blake. It's nightmare fuel. I don't know if you've seen any of these weird, creepy AI things where just every morphed image gets more creepy and, terrifying than the last. But it's nightmare fuel, whatever the Democrats are doing. I got a chance to watch over the weekend. I had a nice, relaxing time watching 4 movies. All of the, what's it called? Hunger Games. All 4 of the Hunger Games, back to back to back to back. And it's been memed a lot over the past year that the Joe Biden cabinet looks like the Hunger Games people. I mean, it's just like Lucky Charms. Everything's bright and vivid, like a Willy Wonka fever dream when he took too much LSD or something. That's essentially what the Biden regime keeps trotting out. But yeah, the deep state globalists are nightmare fuel. So yes, I will say the GOP has something to offer, but I just don't see it in the traitors. This is not a time to be pushing your own personal wagons. So anyway, I'm interested in seeing what the GOP has to do this time. I've repeatedly warned President Trump to put his name on each ballot individually outside of just the GOP, because I think there are dirty tricksters in the GOP that are going to try to keep him off the ballot and try to push Nikki Haley on us, to push Ronnie D on us. But that's, of course, nothing that people want. So anyway, over to this one, Blake. Agree or disagree that Jack Smith's case against President Donald be tossed out? Agree or disagree? And my God, does he look like somebody in that futuristic movie with Tim Allen, Mission Quest? What is Jack Smith
Galaxy
wearing?
Quest. Yes.
He looks like he's in Mission Quest. What's it called?
Galaxy Quest. Yeah.
That's it. Yes. Looks like he's in Galaxy Quest.
Well, it looks like he's the Hunger Games. I thought you were going to say Hunger Games because that's
Hunger Games too. Yes. He looks cartoonish.
With that weird collar. Yeah. That costume. Yeah. So I'm going to agree. It should be tossed out because the committee deleted and destroyed essential evidence. So you got to at least give the guy a fair trial. If you're trying to set him up deliberately to fail so you can, make him, a political victim and destroy him, then your case should be tossed out. You should be open and transparent, show all the evidence, allow him to present whatever evidence he wants, and then you can politically destroy him. So that's not what's happening. So President Trump lashed out at Liz Cheney and her lawless J6 committee after they deleted and destroyed evidence and video recordings after they disbanded their anti-Trump committee. And that was, one of the major issues with the J6 committee was how the way that they deliberately framed that and, deliberately took, Republicans off of that committee and put on their own with Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, who were anti-Trumpers. So according to Fox News, Democrat Benny Thompson told the House Republicans in a letter stating, consistent with guidance from the Office of the Clerk and other authorities, the Select Committee did not archive temporary committee records that were not elevated by the committee's actions, such as use in hearings or official publications, or those that did not further its investigative activities. The letter continued, accordingly, and contrary to your letter's implication, the Select Committee was not obligated to archive all video recordings of transcribed interviews or depositions. And Trump...
Wait, they're claiming that they weren't... Hold on. They're claiming that they weren't obligated to hold on to those?
Right.
Lies.
Right. It should be, yeah. Why would they get rid of it? So Trump correctly called this a criminal act because it was. Liz Cheney is no longer in Congress because people in Wyoming finally got rid of her. And President Trump on Sunday called this act an extreme act of sabotage. Trump argues the entire case is completely compromised by the radical left and it should be thrown out, and which I would agree. If you're going to destroy evidence and try to rig a trial on them, then it's a political event and it's not a legitimate legal affairs. So no, it's over. Should be.
Yeah. Where's the fast track in the Supreme Court? Like to just jump in and stop this crap. I mean, do they claim to not have jurisdiction or they want it to play out first? But in the course of this playing out, it's all an effort to derail and rig the 2024 election. It's to take out the person who is up by a mammoth landslide amount. An uncheatable amount over this meat corpse weekend at Bernie's Obama puppet Joe Biden. If they allow it to play out, they're going to be getting everything that they wanted out of their lawfare attacks. It's an attack on a presidential campaign. It's election interference. It's all the stuff that they projected onto Trump the last time. Everything they're doing, they're accusing the other guy of.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's being called on, but I guess, do we have any update on, I don't know, who could throw this out? Is it just the Supreme Court?
I don't know, Brian. I am not enough of a legal scholar or expert to sound off on that. I just know that they're trying to rig a case against him and try to destroy their political enemy, and so he can't be elected again. So they're committing election interference. So, yes, the case should be tossed out. But that's about all I have on that until we get further updates. But there we go. What else do we have, Brian? Unless you got any other words on that.
No, let's move to the next one.
Okay.
I guess we could jump over to this one. Blake, agree or disagree that Democrat loyalists...
Not in sequence. Okay, not on anything else, huh?
Well, you said in whatever order you want, and I was like, well, okay, this is an effort to rig the 2024 election. So if we're talking about Democrats who are trying to rig this because they have no support, let's jump to the Democrat loyalists who are disconnected from reality. Would you agree or disagree that the Dem loyalists are disconnected from reality?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can say that because I've been one. I was born and raised a Democrat. I've been part of that system. Even voted for John
You're a
Kerry in
Hubert H.
2000.
Humphrey Metrodome Democrat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, I was actually, even though Mondale was the Minnesota guy in 1984, I actually liked
Gotcha.
Jesse Jackson. But no, I volunteered for campaigns. I was a part of that process for a long time, and I was a big Clinton fan. I was in sixth class, and I got academic credits for serving on or doing volunteer work for the Democrats. Right, it's a DFL in Minnesota, Democratic Farmer Labor, but yes, it's still part of the same process. And I was a huge Clinton fan. I really enjoyed the '90s. I just thought Republicans were awful pretty much through most of through the Bush years at least. And the resurgence of Fox News and all of that stuff. But now I saw how radicalized the Democrats became under Obama. I didn't really believe in him anyway by that point. I think by the early 2000s, I was pretty much leaning libertarian. And in fact, I was strongly considering voting for the libertarian candidate at that time, who was a good guy. He passed away a couple of years ago. I can't think of his name right. Michael Bednarik in 2004. But I became convinced to vote for John Kerry just specifically to get rid of the awful, corrupt Bush-Cheney administration, thinking that would maybe, buy us some time, because those were pretty terrible years. But not that Kerry would have been like that much better, and now I just see him as a globalist stooge, useful idiot. Not like things were going to be better under Kerry or Al Gore, but the Bush years were pretty horrific. That changed everything.
By the way, on a little sidebar here, Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, right? That was your big arena in Minnesota, right?
Yeah, after Hubert H. Humphrey, who was a very serious candidate back in '68. And even 72 to an extent.
Yeah, the H. Yeah, Triple H score.
Yeah.
Is that where Triple H, the wrestler, got his name from?
No.
And do you know Hubert Humphrey's middle name?
No, not anymore. I did read the book Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail in '72, and it might have been in there, but I do not know what his middle name is offhand. Does it say?
Hubert Horatio Humphrey Jr.
Oh, I like that. Horatio.
And that's a junior. So somebody else was Triple H. And then, of course, you had the Triple H wrestler. That's interesting. But yeah, he was the founder of the Minnesota Democrat Farmer Labor Party and Americans for Democratic Action, Minnesota. So yeah, I tossed him out there since he had the Minnesota connection. I figured that might be the thing. I was close. No cigar. No Bill Clinton cigar. We'll get back to that one in just a moment with the Epstein story. But okay, so let's talk about this. Democrats who have now disconnected from reality. The ones who think Jack Smith should throw Trump in jail or have him executed for 700 years in jail or the death penalty. They think that Colorado should take him off the ballot, that Maine should take him off the ballot because he's something, the worst human ever. The disconnected from reality people.
Yes, they certainly have, and they have to come to grips with that. I hope, or we're a lost cause. Our civilization is in big trouble. So we have to face reality that our government, through satanic Hollyweird, the government-controlled news media, social media, academia, and the worst education system anywhere in the world, has managed to cause a total disconnect from reality in their loyalists. And all true Americans will be forced to deal with it in 2024 by whatever necessary. Today's Democrats are as anti-American as George Soros, Klaus Schwab, BLM, Antifa, Bill Gates, and the pro-Hamas terrorists in our streets. No matter how peaceful and patient conservatives remain, Democrats will continue to ratchet up their anti-American violence, theft, arson, and mob rule, eventually leaving Americans no choice but to confront their evil. Today's Democrat voters have sunk to the bottom of the anti-American pit, headed for hell. They've been Pavlov trained, driven to hell by their lying, cheating, criminal anti-American party leaders. They are so disconnected from reality that many of them are beyond reform or salvation. So I guess he's going to talk about Republicans on another piece. But right now, America has a huge problem. And yes, and I completely agree. And that's why, some people can confuse me with being, a conservative or a Republican, but I'm really, I'm on their side against the radical left. So that's, obviously the bigger enemy right now. And it got really bad after the Obama years, who was supposed to be somebody to unite the country, and instead was very deceptive and divided it. I don't think a lot of Democrats just realized how far to the left they got pushed. So nothing current Democrat voters believe is true. They believe that there's more than this is the disconnect from when I was a Democrat. They believe now that there's more than two human genders. I mean, if I was even just to present this list back to to the 90s or maybe early 2000s, when I was still kind of a Democrat, so to speak. Now they believe in the climate change hoax, despite science proving there hasn't been any significant climate change since the Ice Age. They believe socialism and communism are better than freedom and liberty. Yeah, that's something I'd like to talk about more at some point, because that's something that needs to be. They've kind of demonized capitalism. Capitalism is fantastic, but that's free market capitalism, and not like. Sorry, in many ways, Republicans kind of ruined capitalism by turning it into crony capitalism and corporatism, which dirtied the name of capitalism. What's that?
What did George Bush say? We have to destroy capitalism to save capitalism?
Perhaps. I don't remember exactly the quote, but...
and when you have government colluding with private business, it's called fascism.
Right.
That's the definition of fascism.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So they have poisoned the name of capitalism, and so most people they think that's what it is, but it's not. It's not corporatism. It's not big crony capitalism. Capitalism, in its simpler terms, is something that has created freedom and wealth for people, unlike anything that had ever been seen before. But now they think capitalism is bad and they want communism. It's like, whoa, no, you're not, you're missing the point there. So that's one of those things. Well, part of their disconnect from reality is demonizing capitalism. So they believe that Trump is a criminal, despite every attempt to charge him, having resulted in acquittal after acquittal. They believe false accusations are enough to convict somebody. Of course, they also believe their media. They believe Trump was involved in Russian collusion, despite all evidence proving it was the Clinton campaign and the DNC colluding with numerous foreign enemies. They believe nobody supports Trump, despite him being in the lead. It's his personal views on abortion. They believe Biden won the election, despite Biden not even campaigning, and Trump receiving 11 million more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016. But of course, Brian, you want to give the disclaimer that please visit CISA. Is that what it is?
CISA.gov/rumor control, so that they can tell you that this is the only election in history that did not suffer from people trying to rig the election, and they were completely unsuccessful. Joe Biden is clearly the most popular president in American history. By the way, the exact quote I was looking for was, "I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system." George Bush told CNN television, saying he made the decision to make sure the economy doesn't collapse. That was one of his most famous quotes. And by the way, I'm looking up the definition of fascism. Wow, has Wikipedia just done a number on the definition? They're calling it far right. That is not what fascism is.
They keep trying to put it in this spectrum, like that somehow makes it different. Yeah, they're still stuck in the old, the two-dimensional political spectrum. When it's a lot more
it looks like they've coined a new term to move what fascism actually is over into corporatocracy, where it's a political and judicial system controlled by business corporations or corporate interests. But fascism is the blending of corporations and government. I don't know when I got to find something way better than Wikipedia. Wow. Have they really screwed the pooch on this one? because there's nothing far right about fascism. Fascism is when you use the power of the government in a heavy-handed way to influence the power of all the corporate interests, just like we've seen out of Biden, to influence our government with all of the social media companies who rigged the election, who fortified, who trotted out these 51 fake intelligence official reports, lying to make sure that people didn't understand the truth about how blackmailable and how corrupt the Biden regime actually is. And they use their private companies, the Fox News and the CNN, and then they use the distribution channels to shut down people talking about it and sharing the images. That's fascism. When you take social media and lying legacy media and some of the big companies and some of the intelligence officials, and then they just rig the election. That is what fascism is. When they fortified the election, Time Magazine did a big article. When they fortified the election, they used fascistic tactics to make sure that Donald Trump was not retained in his seat, despite so many people wanting him to keep that position of power. I can't believe what the definition has done. I got to find a better definition of fascism later, but my God, it was always just the blending of corporate and government interests. Now they've tried to turn into something far right. I mean, far right. Oh, you mean like the Nazis who are socialists? Oh, okay. Since when is socialism far right? I just these word games that these monsters play. It just gives me a headache, Blake.
No, I hear you. So I did put together this handy little presentation and created more of a three-dimensional spectrum on this, where I would put fascists and globalists just at the top. It doesn't really matter if it's left or right. It's authoritarianism or big government, or it's collectivism, it's corporatocracy. It kind of all blurs together. But yes, the communism and socialists are definitely the left, and the neocons and the rhinos are on the right, depending on how much government and authoritarianism they want, which is, to me, only the biggest difference there. So
are you saying that Wikipedia is wrong by putting fascists on the left or on the right?
That was the old term when we had, when everything was just like, left or right, Democrats and Republicans. That was the spectrum as I learned it and in civics class. But I think we need a new definition. We have to kind of break it down as far as, big government or no government. There's other ways of looking at it. Collectivism, corporatocracy, liberal, conservative. It's more sophisticated. And, people make those grids where, they can show you a little more accurately. It's really hard to pinpoint somebody on a two-dimensional spectrum. It's just one line left to right, and you're supposed to fit somewhere on that. But it's got to go up and down too. There's a y-axis with the x-axis. So anyway, people need to get out.
You know how I've always seen it, Blake? I've always, there's left and right, there's X and Y axes. I always see it as a circle. That's how I've always had this lined up. You can start off and you go to the far right and the far left. But when you go too far right and too far left, you loop back on each other. Like you end up you see each other on the other side of crazy. I'll see you on the backside. Like when libertarians go too far, they just kind of go, like you were saying earlier, they opt out of the system and kind of get into anarcho-capitalist. And I mean, you're really just a step away from the commies, the Marxists, and a lot of the other authoritarians. They kind of start off going right, and then they veer back way left by looping back on the other side of the circle. But anyway, regardless here, disconnected from reality is a great way to phrase kind of what we're looking at here. This is not the America that we had 30 years ago. I would like to restore some semblance of normalcy.
Whatever that is. The new normal.
Whatever that is. This Biden-Obama regime has to be removed, and we've got to fix the borders, and we have to kind of rein in the spending. There's so many problems, but it's all easy fixes. If anybody gave a shit, they're all easy fixes. They're all
easy fixes, but people just don't get it, don't care. They'll think you're crazy, and we need a serious reality check.
Well,
But
all right. Well, let's talk about reality check. Did you have anything else to add on this one? Otherwise, I will bounce to the
Nope.
next one.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, talking about reality check. You know, it is 2024 now. We're only a few months away, Blake. Can you believe it? It's almost time for the big show.
Yeah, we got yes, we didn't finish the entire list, but I think people get the idea. And it's not the same Democrats.
Same. Is there anything else on the list you wanted to wrap up?
Just to show how things have changed for the Democrats. But yeah, before and after Obama it's like two different parties, two different ideologies, and it's amazing they haven't put that together. But a lot of the younger ones, they don't know, and I'm very disappointed in the older Democrats that have been around, and they are still anti-MAGA, and then this they've lost touch with their roots. When we were so good in like the 90s, and in the Clinton years were fantastic. That's when that was kind of the golden age. But that was a long time ago now. Sure seems like it. And the Republicans were so lame during those times too. It became obvious. But then they just went, we'll save it for another day. Anyway.
Well, we're talking about Democrats and Republicans. For the Democrats to win in 2024, Blake, Biden will have to drop out. Do you agree or disagree that Biden will have to drop out for Democrats to win in the 2024 election?
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I mean, if it's a fair election, yeah, definitely, because they know internally their polls are really awful. So I don't know how they're going to try to prop up this puppet president any further. Even MSNBC looking at the final approval numbers for 2023, it's pretty bad. These are what the lowest numbers you can get for an incumbent president. So
they should not be that high. They should not be that high.
Yeah, who's 40% vote saying
as low as they could get? What 4 out of 10 people think this is okay? I just don't buy it.
Yep. I don't buy it either. I don't know how they come up with this stuff, or we have a lot of really dumb people that are just completely checked out that have no idea, and they should not even be polled. But yeah, there's a lot of problems. You've also got a fraying coalition. Black, Hispanic young voters are abandoning Biden as the election year begins. Only 1 in 5 black voters now they'll say they'll support a third-party candidate in November. So that's a problem if he's going to be losing his base. You've got 1/3 of adults in new polls say Biden's election was illegitimate. That's significant. But then we've also got this problem, impeachment insurance. Kamala Harris polls worse than Joe Biden, even among black voters. So that's pretty alarming stuff. These people are not liked. Think the country is not going in the right direction. I don't know how we're getting 39-40% approval is bizarre, but that's what's happening. Meanwhile, we've got big corruption scandals. We've got a lot of bad things on Biden. That's just not even yes, his poll numbers are bad enough. Yes, he's embarrassing. He's embarrassing the country on an international stage. You can't. He's faded. He was goofy years ago, but he was still functional. Now he's clearly not. So, and of course, yes, he's got the scandals hanging over his head. So he seems to be have way too many problems. It's time to find somebody else that they can put up there, whether that's Michelle Obama or Gavin Newsom, but I think they're going to have to find some. I don't know if they can prop up Biden, even if they could get him into there. Do they really think he's going to last 4 years in office? He's barely gotten through these 4. He's not going to improve. That would be pretty much physically impossible. So anyway, could you imagine being in the media and then trying to pretend like he's legitimate and he's doing a great job and just carry water for him?
How
much money is worth
I also
it? Yeah.
I also reposted earlier today just Karine Jean-Pierre, and she needs to be tried for treason just like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. She's complicit. She's a part of this. This isn't you don't just get to wash your hands of what's happening. Like, these people are beyond criminal. They're beyond treasonous. Karine Jean-Pierre, I saw, I think it was in response to a clip where she was saying that Joe Biden and this administration are working to seal the border, but it's those Republicans who are getting in the way of blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I can't. I can't with these people. I'm not going to sit here and let somebody tell me 2 + 2 is 5. I'm done. This needs to be ratcheted up with our verbiage, with our politics. It needs to be ratcheted up because enough is enough. We're not stupid. And I resent people that talk to me like I'm stupid. I really resent people that are going to piss on my leg and tell me, oh, look at we're having a little bit of a sprinkle today. Oh, it's just some of the, bring out your umbrella, a little bit of drizzle. Why does Snoop Dogg carry an umbrella? For drizzle. Oh, okay. And they're whizzing all over my leg, filling up my shoe. Huh. Big Dave's Peanut says, the faster she blinks, the bigger the lie. Karine Jean-Pierre.
I wonder how much she knows, and I wonder how much she kind of self-insulates herself from, what's really happening. So she doesn't really know, and she kind of, tries to have to delude herself into thinking she's, I mean, that's part of her job, right? Is to protect the president.
Yeah, she's complicit.
Right.
She drank the Kool-Aid, and she's going to be a part of it. You don't get to say, I was just doing my job in the Nuremberg trials, do you? No, I don't think so. I think that's why Peppermint Patty got the hell out of there, because it was getting a little too obvious. I think she thinks she's going to escape. She didn't. Where'd she go? MSNBC?
Yeah.
She's still promoting propaganda.
She's just promoting them there. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is a little different. So here's my take on it, and it's just to sum up. I believe this is what I've been saying about Joe Biden from the beginning. There's no way he's running as the political candidate for the Democrats in 2024. There's no way. There's just no way. I think it's obvious that the powers that be want him out of there. And I think he's sticking around for a multitude of reasons. One, he knows he's going to need to pardon his son. However, that's a double-edged sword, because the more he sticks around and digs himself in and tries to pour concrete around to insulate himself, the more they're going to go after his family to take him out. Now he's going up against the cabal. I think we've definitely entered the phase where Joe Biden, he's grown a little too big for his britches, as they say. And, he's going to be taught a lesson. So they're either going to take his family down, or they're going to martyr him and blame it on MAGA. There's no way Biden is going to be their 2024 choice. I don't think he's just going to go. And I really do think the deep state is as bad as I'm saying. I think they will take him out. If he doesn't step aside, they will remove him by hook or by crook. And, will he, like in Wag the Dog, passed away gently in his sleep? Although it was the spooks that did it in that movie. Or will they try to frame it on MAGA, get somebody high on selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors and, one of these school shooter trans types, somebody who's confused and somebody who's under medication and seeking psychiatric help, and they place him in a position where they can take him out. And then they blame MAGA for it. And then now you got your martyr. Enter in Barack Hussein Obama's spouse on a white knight, on a white horse. She'd enter riding Barack. What a weird visual. Hiya! Hiya! Barry, let's go. Or they'll bring in sleazy Gavin Newsom, the American Psycho. There's a good segue for California. But I that's how I see it playing out. I think Biden has definitely crossed the Rubicon, and he is stubbornly not giving up the position. And I think Biden and the globalists, Obama and the globalists, are going to take him out. And I don't want to see this happen. I want to see him charged with treason and facing the most severe penalties of treason. I don't want to see it go down the way my mind's eye. If I were a betting man, it's obvious to me what's going to happen next. I don't want to see it, but he's leaving them no choice. So we will see. Oh, you think maybe Karine Jean-Pierre has immunity? Yeah, well, you can't say you're just doing your job in the Nuremberg trials. I'm going to just hang my hat on that and stay there. So
all right, Brian,
we'll see, Blake.
Yep. Getting ready for that lightning round. It is an hour and a half, and I got about 10 minutes left. Let's tie this show up here, Brian. What do we got? So I got at least 3 more stories.
All right, let's go to this one.
All right.
Agree or disagree that California, since we were talking about the American Psycho, go from American Idiot to American Psycho.
Yeah.
You want to be an American Psycho? California should give out free health care for illegal aliens. Agree or disagree, Blake?
Well, that's crazy. Yeah, gonna have to disagree. No, this isn't a charity. Sorry. I wish these other countries would get their shit together, and then they could stay in their countries. It's all good. Or come here if they want to contribute to make our country better.
And if they want to knock on the front door and do it the right way, I don't like anybody sneaking in like this at all.
Right. So here we go is a tweet from Max Kaiser saying, leave. You're being laughed at. Vote with your feet. Get out while you still can, because California is going to become the first state to offer health insurance to all illegal migrants. Taxpayers will be forced to fork out $3.1 billion per year in medical care for an extra 700,000 people. So here we go. Yes, this is out of the Daily Mail. The first state to offer health insurance to illegal immigrants. $3.1 billion per year for 700,000. I mean, it's amazing. So are they going to be working and getting it themselves, or paying that money back? This is it. On January 1st, taxpayers will now be forced to fork out thousands for medical care. People between 26 and 49
eligible for full coverage under Medi-Cal, their Medicaid program. Comes as more than right. 1.5 million people pouring across the border every year seeking shelter in California's Democrat-run sanctuary cities. There you go. There's your buddy, Gavin.
Oh, boy. Yeah. What a devil, this guy. What a slime ball. But, Blake, here's the problem. It's not going to be California footing the bill. You and I fled California. They're not going to pay for it. They're going to go to the White House and say we need a bailout to meet our budgetary concerns. It's going to be you paying for it and me paying for it. We don't live there. They're going to steal it from Washington, who's going to steal it from us to fund it, and funnel it over there, dude. That's exactly how this is going to work. They have lost so much of their tax base. It's insane. Their cities are crumbling to pieces. The productive people are fleeing in droves.
Yeah, it's like they're just trying to break us. But I mean, there's another reason to get the hell out of California. I mean, they're just going to turn into a sanctuary state, and it's going to, I don't know, are they going to put all the illegals there? I don't know what they're trying to do. But it doesn't seem like they're helping the country in any way by harboring all of these people. Even if they were refugees, they were like hardworking people from other countries, but they just got shellacked by the world's most devastating hurricane, and they were going to come here and contribute, and they were going to pay that money back, but it's not. It's just you're going to turn into a big welfare state. It's just it.
You mean like Joe? Do you mean like in Haiti when the Clintons swooped in to help everybody there? Remember, Haiti had their huge disaster, and the Clintons came in, and oh Lord, when that story breaks, and it's starting to break. Okay, anything else on California? Because we can move to Epstein and Bill Clinton.
Not really. I mean, the immigrant invasion is still continuing. They're trying to fight back a little bit in New York because they're sending multiple buses every day. So they're trying to stop them. So now they're going to New Jersey, to the train stations, and they're being sent to New York that way. So it's incredible. So it's amazing. These cities are being overwhelmed with immigrants. So are they aware of that? Are they really going to vote Democrat again? These policies.
It's high treason, Blake.
Yep, it is.
It's high treason. If you go to a football game, you show your ticket. You don't just get to waltz in. You have no idea who's coming in and what their intentions are.
plenty of good people just, everybody's got a right to see a football game. Yeah, I mean, okay, pay your ticket, go through the front door, don't sneak in. We have no idea. Dreamer says that he fled California in 2004. Seems like a red state looking back to then. Yeah, exactly. I got there in 06. Okay.
Parts of it are red. Yeah.
Huh?
Said parts of it are red. Yeah, it used to be somewhat red. Yeah, but now, San Francisco and LA have just gone way off the rails.
Richard Nixon and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Ronald Reagan are all from California.
Yeah.
And they've wanted to split the state in half and make the Central California into the state of Jefferson. They don't want to be represented by two states controlling two big cities, San Francisco and Los Angeles, controlling their whole state anymore.
55 electoral votes that all go to the one candidate. Yeah, that is.
They've got to split that up.
Yeah. Because
San Diego wants to go with all the Central Coast that handles all the food production in our country. Let the two crazy cities be crazy cities. Okay. Next topic here, since we were talking about ecological disasters and we brought up Haiti. Will unmasking Epstein's clients will finally wake people up? Agree or disagree, Blake, that unmasking the Epstein clients will finally wake people up?
Yeah, I think it will. It's the rude awakening, but it's time. So sorry, guys have slept long enough, and it's time to pay attention because this is some pretty serious shit, and it's coming. Hopefully, it's maybe this week, or I've heard as maybe as early as tomorrow, maybe next week. I don't know, or some of these people are going to delay it. I'm not sure. But this is, will unmasking Epstein's clients finally wake Americans up to our human trafficking crisis? So it's time that we demand that sexual exploitation is treated as despicable and intolerable behavior. We all know it to be, except there's a lot of very powerful people that are caught up in this stuff. Epstein, you got a big blackmail list. You've got very powerful people, royalty, Washington, D.C. You've got people in the high levels of Hollywood and the music industry. So according to the State Department, 6.3 million people were forced into commercial sexual exploitation in 2021, and 1.7 million of those are children. And what kind of person abuses children like this? Jeffrey Epstein, that's who. We will now see his John Doe list. That's his names of individuals allegedly tied to Epstein or his sex trafficking ring. According to the New York Post, former President Bill Clinton will be revealed as John Doe 36 in redacted documents slated to be unsealed this week. We've also got Britain's Prince Andrew, also expected to appear on that list. Jeffrey and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, and all their wealthy and famous friends ran a heinous racket of abuse and vile sexual exploitation of children for years. Let's see what else on this. We got world bracing for the release of the Epstein client list sometime this week. 150 names expected to be made public. What else? I guess we could say, did Bill Clinton go to Epstein's pedo island? What we know so far, but we already know he's taken like 26 flights on the Lolita Express. And Epstein was a big donor to the Bill Clinton campaign and Bill Clinton or the Clinton Foundation. So we know. And then, of course, Bill, well known for being a kind of a freak, a nympho, and liked his women. Good for him, but those are underage. That's inappropriate. And sorry, you did it to yourself. And if you were there and you were involved, you were going to have to face justice. Also, on a quick note, Liz Crokin is a very interesting investigative reporter people should follow, and did a well-done documentary as Out of the Shadows. People should go check that one out. She's trying to be neutral on this and has looked into President Trump because people were fearful that maybe there was a connection there, but she insists that she has looked into every allegation against him and could not find anything that was anything substantial. So, but I mean, whoever's caught up in there, it's time for that list to be known. People have a right to know, and especially if these people are blackmailed, if they're actually, putting forth, awful policy, specifically because they're terrified of being exposed, that jeopardizes our entire way of life.
Well, Blake, it's either that Jeffrey Epstein was just a run-of-the-mill pimp, or he was a Mossad, CIA, deep state asset who was using it to blackmail and bribe all those in positions of power across the planet. I mean, it's a Mossad deep state asset, right? That's
some people are very fearful about that Israel has a lot of power and influence in our government, and there might have been some kind of a ring, Mossad ring, and they've blackmailed a lot of high profile people, and they've dug themselves in, and they've changed our policy, and they are controlling a lot of other people. Just beyond the political stage, it's Hollywood. So, well, it's pretty threatening. We need to know whether we'll find out eventually, but it's time to start digging in. This has gone on too many years already so far. Yeah, now it's 2024. We knew about this back when 2020. This is when that Epstein died. Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking about it way before that too. So anyway, we'll cover that maybe on Thursday. The list will actually be released. We'll see how it goes. The final story about Hollywood, Blake. Dave Chappelle should stop punching down on transgenders. Agree or disagree?
Disagree. Comedy shouldn't have those limits. I mean, sometimes people go over the line, and there's going to be pushback, and we should say no, that was bad, and condemn that. Yes, he's certainly. That's how comedy is. Sometimes they make people uncomfortable, and sometimes he's got a point. I'm not like anti-trans or anti-anybody, but everybody gets their day to get made fun of. That's just what comedians do, and we have to poke fun at ourselves. And there was a lot of backlash against Dave for some of his criticisms of the LGBTQ community. And he does make some transgender jokes. I actually stayed up late last night to watch that because I heard it was very good and controversial. I didn't think it was that controversial, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I recommend.
Well, Dave Chappelle's commentary was like, you can be who you want to be, but to what level am I supposed to participate in your delusions? Something along those lines. It's like, you do you, but like, don't try to come in here telling me I need to play pretend with you. That's a you thing, not a me thing. That's just such a salient point. And it's just so heavy handed to make this, stunning and brave and glorious. It's like, no, be yourself, but like, leave me alone. Leave everybody else alone, but get out of my face. Tell me how I can live my life and how I have to address you. And you're yelling at me in a movie rental store, and it's ma'am. Like just stop with this aggressive stuff.
Yeah, and it's also weird to see how things have flipped. It used to be like, so when I grew up in like the 80s and 90s, it seemed like it was always the Republicans who couldn't take a joke, and they were always like trying to shut people down, whether it was Richard Pryor or Sam Kinison or many of the other comics during that time. I don't know, Eddie Murphy. I mean, there's a lot of people they were uncomfortable with, the sense of humor, and a lot of people were targeted. Trying to think, George Carlin. 7 Dirty Words. They arrested him on stage. They've had other people that had to that had pioneered the way. I can't think of everybody's name here, but there were a lot of comedians that were targeted. But I mean, that's sometimes you gotta push that out there into the culture and people and get a laugh, and maybe there's a point there. But we have a freedom of speech. But it's amazing now you're saying the left even cracked down against a black comic, which is just totally bizarre. This is totally 180 degrees from what it was in the 90s. So it's weird. Yeah, they're just outraged over everything. So the social justice warriors, snowflakes. And so, they're freaking out about, Dave Chappelle made a few transgender jokes, which I thought were all very much, were pretty clean. I don't know, Brian, I don't know if you've seen any of this show. I would definitely recommend it.
I saw it pop up yesterday. I hadn't seen it.
Oh, okay.
I'll check it out.
I don't want to.
What you're talking about the new one, not one of his older ones, right?
Oh yeah, this just came out. Like I don't know if it was 2 days ago. Did it come out on New Year's or New Year's Eve? I'm not sure. Might have been New Year's Eve. But I just watched it last night. But it was great.
Nice.
And he was just talking about punching down. He does make a few trans jokes because, people kind of expect it at this point. But yeah, it was good. And, nobody's above criticism. And so you kind of, he makes a point of that. But it's weird to see, the backlash of the Daily Beast and the who's who of the liberal media. Oh, Dave Chappelle targeting the trans and disabled people. Like, no. The Dreamer jokes about trans disabled jokes, backlash, trans. Dave Chappelle's obsession with mocking trans people. It's just become a thing. Just deal with it. It's comedy. I don't know why people are so sensitive. It's weird. Different world.
Well, we're trying to bring back the world that makes sense. And yeah, comedy is, the court jesters have been routinely some of the only people allowed to speak truth to power. And so we need to encourage more thought, more conversation, more banter, not less. That's all. Just more conversation. If you don't like it, change the channel. Remember, that used to be the calling card for the degenerates. You don't like it, change the channel. All right, well, I guess I'll change the channel.
Yeah.
And then it was the Al Gore, the Tipper Gore, trying to add the parental advisories to the music and all that stuff. But
Lenny Bruce.
Yeah. All right, Blake. Well, that's going to kind of wrap it up over here. Thank you, Big Dave's Peanut and Dreamer Ultra and everybody else in the chat for joining us. Blake, final words? Give us a thought for 2024. Give us something positive for 2024.
Welcome to the greatest shit show in the galaxy. I'm all in. I'm going to cover it no matter what happens.
Nice.
Hopefully we'll go to a better outcome if people can wake up and get their sanity back. I don't know. Otherwise, it's just going to go down in a flaming dumpster fire, and it's going to end in an ugly civil war. But either way, we're going to cover it as long as we can. All right. Good times. Thank you, everybody. And I look forward to next show. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Follow Blake on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley and The Next Level News. Blake, you have a good afternoon, sir. To be continued.
You too, Brian, and everybody. Take care.
All right. There he goes, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. And hoping that you can follow us in all of the places. Spotify, The Agree to Disagree Show is the name. On Rumble, search The New American Media. Like the show. Hit the heart. Hit the thumbs up, whatever it is. Do that. On X, it's at American_media_. On Telegram, it's TNAM for The New American Media, TNAM. In TNAM chat, do that. Follow us there. On Facebook, we have our page, The New American Media, and our group, quotation marks, TNAM''S, The Agree to Disagree Show, quotation marks. Type it in exactly, or else they will not show it to you. Instagram, The New American Media. Follow us there. YouTube.com/The New American Media. We got like more than 1,300 videos over 12, 13 years now. So, check out some of our stuff. We appreciate that. We're also on Signal. What are we at? TNAM and TNAM chat over there as well, or TNAM official. But yeah, you're going to want to follow us in all the places for when inevitably the little tech tyrants are going to throw their hissy fit. And we know that we were censored in the past, and we anticipate that something similar could occur again. So we want you to be ahead of the curve and following us in more than just one place. If you're used to only finding us right here on YouTube or X or however you're finding us, please link up with us in the other places. We do stream to all these other spots, and we're going to keep doing content because the world is going crazy. I think my dad's going crazy, said Eminem, said Eminem's daughter in that song. So we're here to tell you about the stuff that we think is important, underreported, or misreported. But we really do appreciate all of your support, and we want to welcome you into 2024. What did Blake say? The greatest shit show on earth? In the galaxy, maybe? But, hey, if you found us, you must have a similar mentality and appreciation for what's really going on, and additionally, a frustration and a resolute understanding that you're not going to tolerate it either. You're not going along with the lies, with the propaganda, the fake division, the loss of sovereignty. We're not playing that game. We just can't do it. We got one life to live, so we might as well let it all out there while we can. So on behalf of everybody here at the TNAM Network, I appreciate you. I love you, and we'll talk